All right, I have 6:41. We'll begin the meeting. Thank you, everyone who is here. Appreciate it. We've got a roll call first. Vice Chair Victoria Curtis.
Here.
Council Member Joanne Pavlinek.
Here.
I do not see Jinwei yet. Council Member Barra Sapir.
Here.
Do not see Royer Ramirez yet, and Pam DeWitt is excused tonight, so we're gonna go ahead and continue.
Royer's out of the country, his grandfather got sick.
Okay. All right, well, let's go to the treasurer's report. Ronnie?
Yes, excluding the calculation for the insurance, we're sitting at $1,183.
Okay. On the fiscal year, does that, is it January or
June.
the end of June?
Yeah.
So the last day of June, and then we go to the next year's budget. Okay, cool. All right. So next item is approval of minutes. Looking for a motion in a second.
I motion that we accept them.
And I wasn't there, so can I second it or not?
Well, you have the minutes.
But I know I read them, that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Normally they have somebody else.
No, you can do it, or Joanne.
Oh, I can second.
Yeah.
If there's no,
Okay, is there any discussion? Everything looked fine to me. I went through it with a fine tooth comb, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
All right, thank you. We will move into our presentations. First is our presentation from Supervisor Joya's office, Ronnie.
Plan to a packed house tonight. All right.
This is kind of weird.
It's on
Hello,
vacation.
hello.
But so we have a few updates, jumping in with our our traffic safety site visit. April 30th, Public Works staff joined Supervisor Joy's office and a few community members on site in varying spots within East Richmond Heights and Hasford Heights. And 6 intersections were reviewed with particular concern over visibility, speeding, and pedestrian access. And while many locations did not meet thresholds for new stop signs or crosswalks, Public Works is exploring low-cost improvements, including additional warning signage, striping, and vegetation trimming. And so Public Works has also noted that they are actively pursuing grants to improve crossings on Arlington Boulevard with flashing beacons and bulb outs. And so I know for a lot of residents, they don't know who Monish is. He's a senior traffic engineer for Public Works. And so we're planning to have him also join just as a reintroduction to everybody here in East Richmond Heights in the coming MAC meeting. Yeah, and jumping down to our noise ordinance task force update, the Department of Conservation and Development, or DCD, continues its work on addressing noise concerns. And so a follow-up task force meeting is scheduled for June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And this meeting will be hosted virtually and is also open to the public. And so for any additional questions, you can reach out to the project director for that task force, Grant Farrington, at 925 area code 655-2868, and or it's Grant Farrington, Grant.Farrington at dcd.cccounty.us. I know that's a lot to grab.
DCC.
So so Grant Farrington at dcd.cccounty.us.
Okay.
And so for all those that don't write all that down, it's gonna be, that information is gonna be listed in the Friday newsletter that goes out as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the county has extended its franchise agreement with Republic Services, and additional details about the updated terms and how they will impact East Richmond Heights will be presented at an upcoming meeting. And following reports of numerous birds found dead along Bernhardt Avenue, state fish and wildlife inspectors examined several birds and confirmed that the deaths were not caused by electrocution. And so the county sheriff's office is investigating the possibility that the birds were killed with a pellet gun. And so the county, we're monitoring this issue, and we encourage residents to report any related activity that you may find.
Awesome.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
How many birds was it?
Oh gosh, I think the maximum around 50
Oh, it's a
It
lot.
was enough to make
Goodness.
the news.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw it.
50 birds.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
so the undersheriff is in active investigation, so we're trying to get to the bottom of it, but yeah, it's pretty sad. And finally, jumping down to our committees and commissions, public advisory boards and commissions offer great opportunities for residents to directly serve the community. And so a few vacancies that we have open for District 1 are the Assessment Appeals Board and the Economic Opportunity Council. And so for any additional information that you would like, or a full list of vacancies for District 1, you can reach out to me directly, and that information will also be listed in the newsletter that goes out this Friday. And that concludes my.
Okay, are there any questions for Ronnie?
I do, it's not anything on here. I reached out to Supervisor Joya about seeing if there's any way that your office can help me get access to corporate nextdoor.com
Okay.
or Craigslist.com so that I can talk to them about the backyard breeding that's happening in the area. And because I've been unable to find anyone who knows anyone there.
Yeah.
And I think that having the supervisor's office help me to get in there means that I can help with that issue.
Okay. Yeah, don't know if we have any contacts.
You probably, you
but-
might not, but
yeah.
you're the supervisor's office.
Yeah,
Not just me, so I
Yeah.
think that you have a little bit more.
You might have more
ability.
pull, you might.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have more pill to, like, I can do the work, but I just need entree.
yeah,
And I think that that might actually help not only in the county, which is what I'll focus on, but nationally.
Yeah.
If I can get in to talk to them, and I think their offices are in San Francisco.
yeah, I think, no, that's Glassdoor, that's in the Marin area, but yeah, well, I can definitely.
Yeah, so I think that it could be it would actually be a great. If we're able to do something, it would be great for the county, that the county was able to spearhead this, so.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do some digging and see if John has any contacts or backdoor contacts.
Yeah, and is anything being done, Federal Glover passed, I guess, this past week,
Yeah, on Sunday, yes.
right?
Yeah.
What happened?
We don't have any details. The most updated information was from his wife. They're still trying to, get funeral arrangements and everything ready, but I mean, we don't really know at that.
I mean, I was shocked, he just stepped down from his position.
Yeah, literally like, 3-4 months ago,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Okay, please keep us informed
Oh, yeah.
as to what happens with that so that we can be supportive.
So, yeah, for sure.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Supervisor Joya's office?
No.
Okay, Ronnie, thank you.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to introduce now from the Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Brian Fitzgerald. Sergeant Bradenberg is also here. Lieutenant Fitzgerald is now going to be the base station commander. He's taking over from what Brian Holland used to do, and he's here today.
Hello, my name is Brian Fitzgerald. I'm newly assigned to the position, taking over for Brian Holland. Happy to be on the base station, so looking forward to working with everybody. As far as a report for you guys, for the month of April, we had a total of 5 reports that were generated in East Richmond Heights, 2 of which were a runaway juvenile. One was just a follow-up report that the juvenile returned home. There was an outside assist. That was basically one of our deputies went to assist with A3, which is anytime, anywhere, any place for a subject that was getting placed on hold for 5150 mental health evaluation. There was an identity theft report, and the last one was just a report that was drawn in error. To follow up on what Ronnie was talking about regarding the birds, yes, I've been read in on the situation. Today's day 2 for me out here. So investigation still ongoing. I understood that Fish and Wildlife ended up taking 2 of the birds to investigate because there's belief that they're possibly being electrocuted on the power line. PG has come out 2 times, from my understanding, to inspect the power lines and saying everything's okay with the line itself. So we're still following up on some leads, some residents in the area that have surveillance cameras and things like that to try and get to the bottom of it. So outside of that, there's a total of between 75 and 80 calls for service for East Richmond Heights for the month of April.
Okay.
That's pretty typical.
All right. I'd have to get back to you on that, meaning that stay tuned for me back out here.
I have one last question. We used to have a lot of catalytic converters stolen. You haven't had that recently, I guess. No.
Okay. Any
Oh, yeah, I was
questions?
gonna ask, I guess fireworks are starting again in the area. You guys heard that?
I hear them in downtown Richmond. I heard last night.
They're starting back up. Are you related to anything with the family of Fitzgerald Parkway? No?
Just coincidence.
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? Okay, well, welcome and thank you for what you're doing, and we're looking forward to having you guys out here. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have Contra Costa County Fire? Don't see.
I think Michelle is still tied up in the Measure X meeting tonight, so she'll jump on once she's available.
Okay,
What's happening, Victoria and Ronnie, with the fire meeting that was supposed to be planned?
I mean, I've been out of the country, so I don't know what John wanted to wait a while.
Yes, so the initial thought was to have 1 or 2 of the MAC members here to meet with a handful of the community members to just go and garner support. And so Liz reached out to Joanne and Victoria, so we're just we're waiting to see, what date would be beneficial for everybody, just to start that process.
There was supposed to be a big meeting though, right? Is that what you're talking about? There's
No.
gonna be a big community meeting that was going to involve everybody?
John held that. We went to the first meeting.
We went to the first one.
Oh, so there's been one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
That was the
That
one with the El
was-
Cerrito City Council.
Yeah, that was more about Oakland Hills, Berkeley Hills stuff.
Yeah.
It really didn't relate too much. They barely scratched on the surface of our area.
But the one specifically here, that's the one that can be led by 1 or 2 MAC members, and then to bring information back to the MAC, to then bring that back to our office. So,
Yeah, so we need to plan that.
Yeah.
Because we do have a whole list of about 15-20 people that will be,
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay,
I think Joanne has a hand up.
Joanne.
Yeah, I just wanted to correct, I think Liz reached out to me and to Valor on the tree or the view ordinance, not on the fire. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I wrote back to her, and I don't know if you read that or not, Victoria, that it may be a good time to start on that in August after the fair.
For the view ordinance,
Yes.
Yes.
August? Didn't we have a deadline though, that we needed to get something in before?
I didn't know about a deadline.
We needed to go over it.
Review ordinance, I don't remember there.
Yeah, that may have been the for the fire, but I can double back just to see if there is a deadline, when is it? And I'll follow up with everybody.
All right. I do see CHP Officer Zaid. Have you got any updates on anything up here in East Richmond Heights?
Good evening, everybody. How are you guys?
Very good, thank you.
All right. Yeah, I do have some updates. My captain wasn't able to stop by today, so I stopped by at his place. I did have some stats for you guys on what's been going on there. For the month of April, we did have 3 either was stored or impounded vehicles We did have a total of 6 traffic collision reports that we responded and took. One of them was a major investigation. The rest were all just property damage, traffic collisions. We also had 2 call for services. That was one DUI call, and another one was for a pedestrian. And then another one was for a traffic hazard, and we only had 1 stolen vehicle report that was requested for that month of April. Other than that, I don't have all the details on this, but my captain did mention something about a permit that you guys submitted or that was submitted for a fair that I guess is going on. He did want me to let you guys know that that's been signed and approved and should be coming back your way.
Yes, I did get that and I did turn that in. So I appreciate his help with that very much.
Yes, sir. Yep. And then that's pretty much all we have right now. Any concerns or things that you guys want to bring up?
I'm going to just recircle again about the morning, Monday through Friday speeders racing up Arlington Boulevard. You know, as you know, we've got the 3 intersections, the one with the flashing red light for the children going to school. Just up the street, the children going to the Arlington Christian School. And then up at Arlington and Olive, there are children that go down to the school on Barrett. But also the AC Transit bus picks up all the kids to go to El Cerrito High School just before 8 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I look out my front window and see this every day, and these people are just flying up there again. It would be really great if we could get, and I don't remember if it was CHP or the county, but get that radar sign, you know, that shows just from time to time up there showing, you know, what speed people are doing. And as your officers know, it's an old saying, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You just come up here and park and you will be writing tickets during that time in the morning. And then the afternoon, it is still a concern. People are racing home. But that's my 2 cents up here in East Richmond Heights, what I really think is it's out of control. Now, in 2 weeks, the schools are going to be out. So we'll have the summertime and I'm not sure about after school programs or anything like that, but there won't be all the, you know, children going to school.
Do they have crossing guards at any of these places?
The Arlington Christian School does.
Okay.
In the afternoon. I'm not so much in the morning, but, and then, you know, the light, which flashes yellow and then during school hours flashes red. People just don't pay attention to that. They go tearing through it. I mean, a lot of people do stop. But, you know, there are people late to work trying to get to Berkeley and, I think I've mentioned it before, you know, I did a traffic study for Captain Novacell. One of my security cameras counts all the cars that go by. In a 24-hour period, there are 1,400 to 1,500 cars a day going, you know, it's counting both directions. But I did, I think, about a 3-month study, which I sent to him. And there are just a lot of cars on weekdays. Thanks to Google, it's telling people when the freeways stop.
Yeah.
Come on up, McBride, and, you know, go that way and vice versa. So I know there's nothing we can do about that piece of it, but there's some really bad traffic.
So you did mention, I do remember having this conversation with you. We did speak about this in lengths. As far as the radar goes, I know he just put in a request for that, so that's coming. And then as for enforcement, I think he's also looking into possibly we do have the new stealth car that is supposed to be I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's been rolled out.
Yes.
So that's probably going to be put to use, especially in that area. It's very difficult when, I mean, if we were to put a patrol vehicle there, the minute they see that, then everyone, you know, kind of leaves or slows down. And then the minute we leave, then suddenly they start right back up again. So I'm sure we'll see, but I think that's going to be one of the goals is to put that to use, and we'll see how we decide to proceed with that. But yeah, he did mention looking into the radar and putting that up there, and then as well as trying to at least have a visual presence once we can coordinate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we appreciate it. We know how busy you guys are, but if they can get there for just even a little time window in there.
The afternoons you did say was I'm assuming it's 3 p.m. around when school's getting out.
The first bus that I see coming back, yeah, it's about, 3:30 is the actual time the Christian school gets out, and I think Mira Vista gets out at that time too.
Okay.
It's 3:30, and I see there's 2 school buses coming back from El Cerrito High, but one of them is around that time too. So, yeah.
I'll pass that information along.
Thank you. Anything for you guys? Okay, does anybody else have anything for Highway Patrol? Okay, thank you very much for calling in. Glad to see you. And
Thank you, guys.
we appreciate it. Okay, our next item is discussion items. I don't have, oh, I'm sorry. Michelle, Contra Costa County Fire. That's perfect timing.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to jump in here. I had the Measure X Community Advisory Board. It's in direct conflict with your meeting, and it's important because Measure X is where we receive our funding for the Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program. So the activities of that board directly feed to the funding of this innovative and important program. So I'm just going to jump right in. I have about 5 items that I just want to give you a quick update on. First, the local responsibility area fire hazard maps. The public hearing was yesterday. The first reading of the ordinance did take place. The second reading is scheduled for June 10th at the fire board meeting. And the ordinance and all public comment that we received during our 30-day public comment period will be forwarded to the state per the statutory requirements. Update on our Wildfire Community Preparedness Day that was held on May 3rd. We held that at our training facility in Concord. We did have our specialized wildfire equipment on display. We had some tables with educational material from our partnered agencies, and a variety of organizations participated. Everybody from East Bay Regional Parks, United Policyholders, which is an insurance advocacy group. We had our CERT teams, our animal services. It was a really great event. We focused on defensible space, education, evacuation preparation, emergency response. We did hand out go bags were distributed to, I want to say we had it was at least 150. I don't have exact numbers for you, but 150 plus attendees from donations that we collected from areas within the county. Next is weed abatement. Weed abatement deadlines for exterior hazards are May 12th for East County, and then central and west portions of our jurisdiction. The weed abatement deadline is June 1st. Our district has selected multiple contractors to implement the work orders throughout the district for non-compliant parcels. So be aware of that June 1st deadline. Wildfire mitigation projects. Our Crew 12 team continues to perform the mitigation work and fuels reduction throughout the county. And in continuing through this month, we have prescribed burns for our Lafayette Walnut Creek Shaded Fuel Break. Again, I update, even though not in your direct sphere of influence, I do update you on the progress of that project, so you are aware as we locate funding, which, cross our fingers, should be in a couple of weeks. We look to complete the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break. So understanding how we are conducting our work for the Lafayette Walnut Creek Shaded Field Bark, that gives you an idea of how things will progress. So throughout that project, I've given updates to this MAC board, so you know what to anticipate. The Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program continues to receive projects, and all of those resident-driven projects are open to every resident within Contra Costa County, regardless of jurisdiction. I'd like to give a little pat on the back to our program. I think it's important for residents and this MAC board to understand that our program, our portal is very unique. Not a lot of places conduct fuels mitigation projects that are resident driven, nor do they have a portal that facilitates that partnership between residents, government, and fire districts. So our district was actually recognized on the nationwide scale for our work in completing 103 projects and the use of our virtual dashboard showing the areas impacted by our projects. As you know, Measure X, jumping out of that meeting, funds all of this work, and it really demonstrates the district's commitment to supporting wildfire mitigation projects throughout the county. 3 groups were recognized with awards, and the district and one other agency in South Carolina received an honorable mention for efforts. And I know that there were hundreds of applicants for these awards. So they were awarded in Kansas City in late March as a part of the National Wildland Urban Interface Conference. And I'll pop the announcement into the chat so you have access to that. As far as education, I'd like to just touch on that very quickly. From our website, which is currently being updated, but from our website under the Organization tab and Fire Prevention Bureau tab, there is a community risk reduction information. And there's a public education and community outreach explanation of several programs that are offered by ConFire. That could be anything from home fire safety to emergency preparedness, fire extinguisher use and safety. We do have a youth fire setter education program, school presentations, fire safety for senior citizens. There is smoke alarm assistance for all residents within our jurisdiction. We also conduct station tours, engine demos, safety fairs, and special events. So outside of the MAC meetings and how we may utilize the public educator, there are several resources on our website, and that's again under our community risk reduction page. And I'll pop that link into the chat. If you need more assistance in navigating our website, I'll be happy to. Please reach out to me, any resident, any MAC member. My number is 925-440-5831. With that, I am ready for your questions.
Michelle?
Yes.
Victoria? I just
Hi,
want to go,
Victoria.
I want to go back to a couple months ago when we were trying to have a woman speaker that you have with the county to come out to this facility. I've spoken to staff here at Open Door United Methodist Church, and they're happy to open this up to us free of charge for the fire prevention. So we'd like to get her out here at some point so that we can break up the neighborhoods into the separate groups, so we can have like team leaders for each neighborhood.
Oh, that sounds kind of like Firewise.
Yes, exactly.
Great. So Firewise is very easy for a neighborhood to initiate an inspector and myself to be in, again, unincorporated. If any listener is from the adjacent Richmond fire jurisdiction, I ask that they reach out directly to Richmond Fire District. But anyone in the unincorporated area, if you're interested in starting Firewise, I'll pop that resource into the chat. Basically, you would plan, do, and act. So you would plan at least 8 participants and with 8 adjoining parcels, so contiguous parcels. Once you have that information, you log into your portal, you designate your leader, and then you would identify your regional coordinator as ConFire. And that initiates a communication to our department and throw out 3 dates to me in an email of how when your community might be available. And the inspector and I will come out and perform not only your assessment of your neighborhood, but also go into a finer detail of the wildfire mitigation program. So give you recommendations on what fuels reduction projects could be most effective in your area to bring your neighborhood to a more fire adapted status, but also offer the details of that program to assist you in doing that work.
Okay, remember the emails that I was sending you? We have at least 15 to 20 people on those lists that are interested.
That's outstanding. And are they contiguous?
I don't know. I don't know all their
Okay.
addresses. I just have their names,
I
their
would imagine they're
email,
not.
and their cell phones.
Great. So let's connect offline and I'm so excited to have a Firewise community in that area. You know, CAL FIRE recently issued a media release that they were so happy to have 1,000 Firewise communities throughout the state. As a reminder to the MAC board members and to the community, at the completion of the last grant cycle for the county coordinator grant cycle, we had 123 in various stages of application and most in good standing. So holding, a little more than 10% of the Firewise communities in the state, I think that really speaks to, and that was pre-Palisades and pre-Eaton. So I think that just really exemplifies the commitment that residents have to fuels reduction and how successful our program has been. But yeah, the support that's needed for Firewise, I think that, addressing things on the local level, having neighbors work with neighbors, and really looking at that fire triangle, right? We have weather, topography, and fuels. We can't change weather. We can't change topography, but based on those things and other criteria based in fire science, we can eliminate fuels that brings your neighborhood to a more fire adapted status. Working with the inspector, the regional Firewise coordinator embedded with ConFire. Again, we're coming at this from an education standpoint. This is not a punitive inspection. I think that's a really important takeaway. It's not about, he's not going to bring in a citation book and be like, oh, this is, start writing. This is about education. This is about getting the community to have a consistent message and understand, based on their topography, based on their fuels, based on their weather, to make changes and augment fuels in and around the homes. And then part of Firewise, of course, is developing a 3-year strategic plan. So on a long-term basis, identifying over a period of 3 years, what projects are most needed in your community. Now, is that an education by the public educator specifically for that neighborhood? And we give those, for every neighborhood. Is that what kind of focus of what to do on a red flag day or a community shipping day, right? Understanding that fuels can be reduced and there is that county-wide program, the Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program, to assist you in alleviating the costs of shipping, because that can be very expensive.
So Michelle, Victoria again, if I email you, would you be able to give me, I know they said they've already broken up the whole unincorporated county into zones, right?
Yes. Yes.
Would you give me the zones, therefore I can find 8 in each zone that are connected?
Sure. So 8 contiguous, when you start the portal application, you will identify the ConFire contact, ConFire as your regional coordinator, your jurisdiction, and then that message will come back to our team and throw out 3 dates in an email, and we'll coordinate that and have the inspector on site.
Thank you.
Okay, Clara?
So I have a question about the weed abatement for June 1st in this area. I'm gonna send something out to my community on the listserv that I'm on. What should I inform folks about? I can also put it on the next door, but what do people need to know exactly about?
The weed abatement information is also on our website. There's an actual, like, there's a video on our Facebook page. And there's information specific to that. And I'll again pop the link into the chat, but I can send that to you by email. Whatever works for you, Bara.
Thanks. Email would be great.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, any questions? Adele?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Michelle, my neighborhood, we had already reached out to Confire and are very interested. And I think, Victoria, Matt and I both are on your list. So that hopefully will be a start and we will look into that. Two things. One is just so that you know, the Mira Vista Field area is owned by West Contra Costa Unified School District, and we've been coordinating with them over many, many years to basically preserve and protect native plants and grasses, which tend to be not as much of a fire threat as all those highly invasive grasses. And so we protect those and then work with them, and they do the major mowing of all the non-native stuff. And so they're out there. They were actually out there mowing this weekend. So there is a lot of that community interest is stemming from interest in preventing fires, both to the houses that back up to there. And we actually had Shailene Ellington came from Confire to
Lovely.
to us at our little our annual get together, which was great. So that's just for your information. The other thing is that I don't know if you were on, there was a webinar today with State Coastal Conservancy about their wildfire resilience program.
Yes, that's consistent with the Diablo Fire Safe Council and the regional priority plan. So they're heading that up.
Right. So they have, I don't know if there's, they're looking for projects that have to do grants that are in the range of the $1 to $3 million range. And so just wanted to bring that up in case, and they have a rolling application that's open. Anyway, so if there's something that's larger scale that, would be for this region that could fit with that, I just wanted to bring that to your attention if you weren't as familiar with that.
I am. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. That was it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Any comments, questions? Okay, Michelle, thank you very much. Appreciate you dropping in on us. I do want to mention that I worked with Captain Lang and George already signed off on our East Richmond Heights Festival permit. And so I appreciate that. We got everything signed off and turned into the county, so.
Captain Lang is a great supporter of events, and he exemplifies Confire. He really does.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an honor to work with him.
Okay. All right, with that, thank you, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much, Chair. Please reach out if you need anything. And in the meantime, as the grant is announced, I think that, we talked previously about letters of support for that project for the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break. And it, we'll provide more guidance on that, but just know that it's coming. It's right over the hill.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. I really appreciate that. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to discussion items, which I don't have, but I'd like to just insert something. The update on the festival. Captain Lang, Captain Novosel from Highway Patrol, Lieutenant Holland from the Sheriff, all three almost within a day or two got it signed off. The insurance has been paid for, the package sent off to Bob Hendry at Public Works, and I talked to him yesterday. And he said the whole package has now gone to the Board of Supervisors, just should be a rubber stamp. So all of that preparation work went really fast for me, faster than any year in the past. And I appreciate, getting that done. And of course, Alan Krakauer is going to be working with the vendors, Leonard Sweet, as far as the music and the stage. And so I imagine probably the next thing would be for you and Pam and the others maybe to do a calling out for a site visit, maybe a meet over there at some point to kick off the planning part of that. But it's great that Alan is already working on that. I've seen what he sent out to vendors from the past. So here we go. We're gonna have a good festival this year.
I have a question.
Yes.
What happened with the flyer? Last time I was here, we were talking about design of the flyer. Did you guys choose which one that we were gonna give
We're
out?
talking about the
For the-
banner.
For the banner and.
So that Royer's Friends is going to design something. And I did a little bit of research. I think it's gonna be between like $70 and $150 to make a banner. And I want it to be double-sided so that when people are walking either direction on the street, they'll have it, but I'm gonna remeasure this behind us because we wanna repurpose it so that when we're in this meeting, we've got something right
Yeah.
there.
That sounds great.
We don't have anything besides that, but I think it's best to have a QR code rather than having a flyer, because then we can change it.
Yeah, then you
and-
can have a lot of information.
Exactly, then people can go right there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. All right, so let's go to subcommittee reports. Joanne.
Hi. So we did have a subcommittee meeting, a land use subcommittee meeting on April 28th to review two submitted projects. The first one is located at 6808 Del Monte Avenue. And the project description is a variance to allow a retaining wall fence combo up to 9 feet in height located at a 0-foot side yard setback, where 3 feet is the minimum, required minimum, and a 0-foot rear yard setback where 3 foot is the required minimum. We reviewed them, the applicants were at the meeting, and the recommendation was for approval. The second one was also for a retaining wall, and that was at 1511 Poplar Avenue in Richmond. And that was a variance to allow 0-foot side and rear yards where 3 feet is the minimum for both, to replace a retaining wall that is 40 feet long with a maximum height of 5 feet. The drawings on that application did not show replacement of the fence. It wasn't actually a retaining wall fence combo, which it should have been. It was just to replace the existing retaining wall with no documentation on how the fence was going to be replaced. And so it was a recommendation of a conditional approval and required the applicant to submit something to demonstrate how the fence would be replaced. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Any
Joanne.
questions?
Questions? Okay, thank you. Regional historical presentation. I don't think we have anything tonight. Agenda item speakers for upcoming MAC meetings. I know we did, and it was in the minutes that we talked about a few things. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up to add at this meeting?
Wonder if we should have Jelly's Place, since they're getting this land and they probably want information out to the community about the fundraiser they're doing and what they hope for the land. I think Chevron's giving them that.
Oh, do you know where?
Do you know where, Ronnie? Where's the land?
It's right off of Great Highway in the North Richmond area. There's a plot of land that.
Giant highway?
Giant highway.
Giant.
Yes, so it's not set in stone, but it is, Joe's Place and Chevron are always having communication about, how to go ahead and get that process started.
Interesting. I hadn't heard about that.
So wondering if we can have, maybe we can invite the El Bronte MAC and maybe we can have a group like a meeting with both of us along with Jelly's place. Yeah,
We need two Macs together.
Yeah.
Or,
and maybe Julie will be open to having that meeting to talk, because El Sobrante is affected also. That MAC is affected as well, so.
I know we've never done that I'm aware of. Joanne, did you ever combine with another MAC?
No, up till now, we have not.
I think it might be nice.
Well, I think, Ronnie, we'd have to kind of ask you to talk to Supervisor Joya, and see if that's a possibility. I don't. It's something that I'm just we're not aware of, but.
You might not be able to do it because you might not be able to have so many MACs.
yeah, I think if that was, something that Supervisor Joya would want, there would only need to be a maximum of 2
Okay.
members from that MAC here.
Is that land on Giant Highway, is that unincorporated area?
I think it is.
Question. I don't know specific, I can look it up on.
Because the sheriff patrols that area.
That's what I'm not-
I don't know offhand.
But I wonder if there's a MAC over there.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, the
There
North
might be-
Richmond MAC is in that area, but I don't know if that plot of land is in unincorporated North Richmond.
Okay,
But
I think North Richmond's closer than El Sobrante.
Yeah, I can check.
Okay.
I mean, it might be valuable for us to at least start a dialogue between the MACs because of this.
Just long as it's within maximum of 2 members.
I mean, I'm just talking about an email, even. Do you know what I
The same
mean?
applies.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
Brown Act.
Brown Act,
okay.
okay.
It's
All right, item 9, we are at public comment on any item. Under the jurisdiction of our council, but not on the agenda tonight. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss? Wow,
Well,
we have a record here?
I
Chair Sargent,
Yes, ma'am.
so sorry. I wanted to mention very quickly, I was reviewing the meeting minutes. And I know I'm sorry for joining late, but I think for clarity, I think it's important to identify the fire district is also applying for federal funding to support the community wildfire protection plan efforts. So mitigation efforts are Measure X. Mitigation efforts are future grant opportunities. Given the change in the federal funding picture, we are seeking more state and local funding. But I think that statement applying for federal funding for mitigation efforts, I think the clarifying statement would be to support the community wildfire protection planning process. Because we absolutely applied for a USDA grant to support the CWPP.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that was identified at the board level and so just in the interest of accuracy and clarity, I know that you've probably already gone through it. It's not absolutely critical that it be changed at this point, but the federal funding for mitigation efforts, I just didn't want to muddy the waters because mitigation is really being funded currently, through the mitigation program, which is supported by Measure X. And I just didn't want there to be any miscommunication.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I see that in the minutes under P4 presentation last month. And so I know that when Ronnie gets our minutes together, he will pick that up from this meeting. And if you could just literally, Michelle, could you put in the chat just that terminology that you just used and to clarify it?
On its way now.
Okay, and that will take care of that. So thanks for pointing that out.
Chair,
Yes,
can we just take a revote to adopt the changes to the minutes that were just submitted by Michelle to make it?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
make it acceptable
You
for
want to
federal
make that
monies.
in the form of a motion then?
Yes. So I guess I can make the motion that we modify the minutes as recommended by Michelle Reinhardt to reflect her statement.
A second.
Yeah, and that's item P4, presentation by Contra Costa County Fire Protection District in the April 16th minutes. And we have a second from Bara. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any? All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, MAC Board. Thank you, Chair Sargent, for entertaining my my clarity.
Michelle, Victoria again.
Yeah.
I have a question. I've been told since they redrew the boundaries for the fire up in the East Richmond area, that if we do get certified with the Firewise, that could help us with our insurance, right? Homeowners insurance for
So
fire.
there's a, well, okay.
That's a tough.
Okay, so let me put myself back on camera. Okay. The relationship between an insured and an insurer is a very unique relationship, a contract. The Fire Protection District is interested in the protection of life and property. Understanding hazard versus risk is what is under process with the local responsibility area the fire hazard severity zone maps, right? So identifying hazards, identifying risk. Those live in two different realms. So while I have received feedback from residents that their insurance has gone up in some cases 1, 2, 300%. I have also heard feedback from residents, and I'm just merely telling you as a county coordinator out in the community what I'm hearing. In some cases, the insurance discount is very nominal. And so while we recognize there is an insurance crisis in California, what we most importantly recognize is the protection of life and property, right? The protection of the preparation of residents, fuels reduction to bring residents, neighbors and communities and networks to a more fire adapted status, right? And you're going to hear me say fire adapted because we're living with fire. How that balances against the insurance crisis is really the job of the insurance commissioner. And Commissioner Lara has several strategy key points on his website. Again, happy to put it in the chat. But Commissioner Lara's office really leads that perspective and looks at facilitating ways to lessen the impacts of the insurance crisis. But as far as the fire department, we're about making it safe, right? Safer. We can't fire proof, but we can fire adapt. We can't wrap everybody in a bubble, but we can tell you ways that fire behavior is influenced by fuels on the ground, amber cast, ladder fuels, canopy ignition, right? How the ground fuels feed to brush, how the brush fuels in a wind-driven ember cast fire lead to a more destructive fire that it's not vegetation to vegetation, but it becomes structure to structure, right? So that the urban wildland urban interface and how fuel models are suggesting that fire is carried into the urban environment. That's the premise of our shaded fuel break, right? That's and I know that I'm dancing around the roseberry bush here, but it's really important for everyone to understand that the fire protection district is doing everything we can to show at a state level, not only through the actions of myself, but the actions of all of our jurisdictions, to help the state regulators, state fire marshal's office understand what we are doing locally through initiative programs like the wildfire mitigation program, but also through ordinance and other areas to bring fire safety, fire adaptability to our county residents. It's a really difficult space, right? I want to help residents be informed, but we cannot influence or change that relationship between the insured and the insurer. Does that make sense?
I totally get it.
I'm sorry.
Do you think, Victoria, do you think we should have the, that person, the insurance person to a MAC meeting?
It's hard
Insurance
because
company?
everybody has different insurance companies. It's not consistent. I mean,
It's not
I can talk to
commissioner.
my farmer's
Insurance
insurance.
license.
Yeah, I can talk to my farmer's insurance person, but I know everybody's gone up. I just changed insurance companies, mine went up 40%. And I heard it's gonna go up again because they redrew the fire zones. And now it's in our, yeah.
So what would be great, just my little 2 cents. A Firewise community just in our jurisdiction, and also outside of our jurisdiction, developed in their Firewise 3-year strategic plan, a better understanding of insurance, the insurance challenges. And what we did is we facilitated a panel discussion with the public outreach representative from the California Department of Insurance, the local Firewise leader, and myself. So I was able to talk about the wildfire mitigation program. Insurance was able to be discussed by the public outreach person. We can develop that, right? What does the community need? And in that 3-year overall plan, because again, we're not dealing with an insurance crisis with an end in sight. So over the next 3 years, what resources does your Firewise community require in order to become better prepared in the event of a fire disaster, right? And there are more things on the horizon and things that are coming very quickly. It's such a rapidly changing picture. So the governor's executive order really invoked a task force and an advisory committee, and they have actually taken 99 recommendations. My next meeting is next week, but they've taken 99 recommendations and reduced it to 25. And there's a very robust discussion about the definition of defensible space, right? There's a very robust discussion about the height and the width of a grown plant versus a freshly planted plant. I mean, they're going through this and really thinking about the impacts of their decision. They're also looking at funding. There are Senate bills and Assembly bills and ideas about how to help residents perform that mitigation work, relief efforts, right? So there's more coming from our state fire marshal's office and the Board of Forestry that's going to roll out to local responsibility areas and jurisdictions. And so just, I don't want to provide you a position formally from Contra Costa County Fire Protection District, but I do want to let you know that there's a lot going on at the state level, and there's a lot going on. The first step is the local responsibility area adoption. And again, for those that are interested, the second reading of that ordinance will be June 10th at the fire board meeting. And then we anticipate from there the ordinance to be adopted in July. So, and that's consistent with the state fire marshal's office timeline, right? So we're taking, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So we're going to take the local responsibility area maps, we're going to bite that off. We're going to understand what all of the impacts are and get through that adoption process. Then the other things that are coming have an implementation period. You don't go from education to citations. You go from education to implementation to, fair warning, the deadline's coming. Kind of like weed abatement, but it's longer, it's more robust, it's more layered. So all of those things are happening. I want you to be aware. I think it's important as we have the shaded fuel break project kind of sitting there, waiting for the right funding, getting it to fit into the right grant opportunity. But yeah, there's so much information. There's so much information coming, and you have been heavily engaged in wanting information. What I would caution you is that the information coming is not uh, formally adopted by the jurisdiction. So we're waiting for more, more steps to more background. So it'll be difficult for a little while. Yeah.
Could you remind me where that June 10th fire board meeting will be held?
At the Board of Supervisors council chambers in Martinez.
Okay, thank you.
And the information is on the county website. I'm sure Ronnie, you can jump in here. It's contra-costa.legistar, legistar.com, and there's a calendar.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for anybody? Okay, somebody like to motion we adjourn?
I would like to motion we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. All those in favor?
I.
Let's go. All right, thank you all.